Ted? What? I have a feeling we're about to embark upon a most unprecedented expedition.
Greetings, most excellent friends, and welcome to episode 5 of Bill and Ted's excellent podcast. I am your host, Linda Kay, and I am also the web dudess of Bill and Ted's excellent online adventure, which you can find at billandted.org. Thank you once again for joining us. We have a very exciting show for you this week. We have a special interview which we've recorded for our news segment with Arturo Gil, who you may know played Station, or actually one half of Station, in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He's going to join us in the news segment to talk about his new show for the Discovery Channel called Rods and Wheels. And later in the podcast, Marc Ferman of Popcorn Nights will join us to tell us all about the Excellent Adventure screening that took place in Miami on January 29th. They not only had Alex Winter there to Skype, but Diane Franklin as well. So we're anxious to hear all about that. And our featured artist today is Russ Gray. We're going to hear a song from him and his band called Stonelifter. Stay tuned. We're going to begin with some news. And first in the news, we've learned that in Canada, there are going to be some 25th anniversary screenings of Excellent Adventure happening this week. And it's all part of the Great Digital Film Festival. Excellent Adventure will be screening on February 3rd and 4th at select theaters across the country. If you're in Canada and you want to check to see if Excellent Adventure happens to be playing in a theater near you on either of those dates, you can check out their website. It's at www.cineplex.com/events/Digital Film Fest. And there you will find links to Excellent Adventure, and you'll be able to check out whether or not one of these special screenings is happening in a theater near you. So check it out. Also, the film Grand Piano is now available on iTunes, and this is one you're going to definitely want to rent. It's going to be coming out in theaters in March, but you can watch it now, which is most excellent. It stars Elijah Wood, and it was directed by Eugenio Mira, and Alex Winter is acting in this film. And a lot of times when an actor appears in a movie, sometimes you want to know if they appear in it enough to make it worth watching. Well, I watched the film last night, and I don't want to give too much away because it's a very exciting suspense thriller. The less you know about it, the better. It's an edge-of-your-seat thriller. So what I will tell you is that Alex is definitely in it enough to make it well worth renting. You have to see this movie. It's probably one of Alex's best acting roles in quite some time. So definitely check that out. In fact, why not make it a double bill? Why not rent Grand Piano and Man of Tai Chi, Keanu's movie? And they're both available on iTunes, and you can have like a Bill and Ted, Alex, Keanu double bill. Not that the two movies have much to do with each other, but they're both really well filmed, and I think you're going to really enjoy them. But definitely check out Grand Piano. It's a lush, exciting, suspenseful film, very much on the lines of an old Hitchcock movie. So check it out. You're going to want to see it. So earlier this week, January 27th, the Discovery Channel ran a sneak peek episode of a new reality series called Rods and Wheels. But the show is its official premiere on Monday, February 3rd at 9 p.m., and it will air every Monday night at 9 p.m. after that. Our good friend Arturo Gil took some time out of his busy schedule promoting the show this week because he's in the show. I'm so excited to be able to welcome to the podcast the one, the only, Mr. Arturo Gil. Hi, Art. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Linda. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm really excited about this.
I'm so thrilled to have you. We interviewed Arturo for the website, and if you'd like to read our interview, just go to the Bill and Ted website, go to the actors, under Bogus Journey, look for Arturo Gil, click on the interview, and you can read our interview. But we have Arturo on today because you have a brand new show which is debuting on the Discovery Channel, Rods and Wheels. It's actually debuting tonight when we're doing the interview on January 27th, 10 p.m. It's going to be on every Monday, I believe, on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, I believe it's every Monday. Tonight is pretty much a sneak peek. It's a preview to Rods and Wheels, but on February 3rd is actually the premiere, and it will be on Monday nights. Tonight, we're airing right after Fast and Loud, And then next week, we're taking up Fast and Loud's time slot.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. And the show's called Rods and Wheels, and it's about a place called The Rod Shop, which is located in Simi Valley, and it's run by two guys named Billy Darien and Steve Reck, and they're two friends who've known each other for years, and their sons also work in the shop. And Art, you work in the shop. What do you do there? I'm
like the jack of all trades. I'm known as Uncle Art. I'm known as Artie the Party, the Low Rider. I pretty much got my hands in everything from deconstructing to tires to suspension to anything. I look for leaks underneath the car. You see, I fit pretty much in tight spaces. So the guys always put me in tight spaces to fix things they cannot reach or fit into.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, that's cool. And what they specialize in is they fix up and restore vintage cars and hot rods. And how cool is that?
That is so cool. I mean, we get to work on some American classic hot rods, classic cars. We tear down these cars and make them pristine. I mean, what we're doing, we're pretty much saving American history with our restorations.
Oh, that is so awesome. So have you always been interested in working on cars? Is this something you've always done?
Oh, absolutely. When I was in my 20s, my uncle owned a Mustang shop, a classic Mustang shop, where he would restore headliners, seat covers, and carpet kits. And I would visit him in Mississippi. At that time, I lived in New Orleans. So I'd drive up to Mississippi to see him and watch him work on cars. And I would help him with the headliners, the car seat covers, and the dash, whatever, all the interior work. And he had a car for sale there. It was a 1968 Mustang Coupe. It was blue, and it had the C stripe on the side. It really looked cool. Had the style steel wheels on it, and it was amazing. He says, Art, I know you like Mustangs now. This car's for sale. So I bought that 68 Mustang, and ever since I've been in love with hot rods and cars and, Ford, Chevys, you name it.
And so how did you first meet Billy and Steve? Have you known them for a long time?
I've known Billy, my gosh, almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I watched his son, Billy Jr., who's on the show, of course, grow up. He used to be smaller than I am. Now, Billy Jr. is huge now. He's got these massive muscles. We always tease him about feed the guns because he's always eating. But I've known Billy's family for many, many years. They're good friends with my family. We hang out together a lot. And I've been at the shop and I help them out of the shop. And it's kind of nice to be part of a family environment.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask is because on the show, you've got a family because you've got Billy and Steve and you have their two sons who are working there. And then there's a couple other guys, one of whom is you, who are working there. But you all seem like family. Is it really like that, huh?
Yeah, we definitely are an extended family. I mean, there are the two fathers and the two sons. And the fathers are pretty much guiding their kids how to work on cars, how to flip cars, how to run a shop. I mean, those kids started off mopping the floors, but they're climbing up the ladder and realizing that they can do this kind of work. And then, of course, there's Jeff, who's the pretty boy. And he likes to make sure everything is nice and shiny. He's Mr. Hollywood. And then there's little me, Mr. Lowrider, that works in the shop, and I get into tight places, and I help out in the shop, and it's really a lot of fun. I get my hands dirty, pretty much.
So when you're working on these cars, like you said, you can get in some pretty tight spaces, get in underneath the car where other people, it would be harder for them to do. But have there been any cars that have been like, what's the most difficult car you've worked on as far as just accessing, getting in there, and anything really difficult to work on that was like, oh, wow, that was a challenge?
Yeah, I think on the first episode, I don't know if it's on tape, but I had to crawl into the back seat, the roadster seat. And I had to reach under this seat. They had put me through the trunk, through the rumble seat, and I had to reach underneath it. And I was kind of on my back trying to reach the bolts for the seats. Or the bolts.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the tightest places. Of course, wheel wells, looking at the suspension is kind of tight. The taller guys can't get in there, so they have me look in there to see if the tie rods or the bushings or if there's any leaking fluids and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would say the 32 on this first episode was, on the Deuce Coupe episode, was probably one of the hardest ones.
Okay, we'll have to look for that. Interesting. You're obviously not claustrophobic because you work inside all these costumes on different shows, but do you prefer to be inside a costume or inside a car? I mean, the costume's probably a lot hotter, but the car's probably a lot dirtier.
Well, yeah, I don't mind being inside of tight, confined places. I'm not claustrophobic at all.
Good.
The one Sue on Bill and Ted's station was very confining and very hot, but it also gets very hot inside these shops at the car shop, at the rod shop. We don't have any air conditioning. All we have is fans. So once you're inside a trunk or hood, it's pretty warm in there. But yeah, as far as a preference, I'm very blessed to be able to do both.
Mm-hmm.
But when Hollywood is kind of slow, and this business, it can get very slow. So I'm very thankful to Steve and Billy Sr. to have extra work working at the rod shop and earning an income. And so it's the best of both worlds. But if I had a choice, I think I like hot rods better.
Yeah.
Because I get to work on these beautiful cars and see the final result.
Right. So it's a real passion of yours.
It definitely is a real passion for me to work on hot rods. Absolutely.
So I have to ask this question. Did the Cash for Clunkers program, did that essentially break your heart?
You know what? Regarding the Cash for Clunkers, I don't think people in their right mind would have sold their classics or their hot rods.
I hope not.
That would be crazy. No, I'm not going to sell. I mean, because some of these hot rods, these classics are worth thousands of dollars, hundreds, some of the nicer ones. So I can't see that happening.
Well, that's good to know. I always have been imagining just even parts and things. We're just like, oh, what's disappearing? Because like you said, this is a part of history. This is American history you're restoring.
It is definitely part of American history. And a lot of the kids are now getting involved and helping their dads rebuild their cars. And it's kind of neat that these kids, like, my dad used to have an old 32, or my dad had an old Ford Mustang or an old Chevy or Camaro. And these kids are now helping their dads restore these antiques, these classics. It's amazing to watch.
That's great. Okay, so Art, I have to ask you this question. If someone could magically appear with the car restoration project of your dreams, what make, model, and year would it be?
Oh my gosh. I have a lot of favorite cars.
Yeah.
I'm not choosy. If somebody wants to give me a car, a nice rod, I'll definitely take it, no matter if it's a Chevy, Ford, Buick. But, I love fastbacks. And I love the 67, 68 Mustangs. I love the Boss 302. That kind of style I like. But I also love the boxy style cars, like the Novas, or the Chevys with a round it. So heck, if somebody wants to give me a car, I'll take it right now, I want to start my own collection. Are you kidding?
Oh, God, that would be great. Then you could have a spinoff.
Oh, hey, what a great idea, spinoff. Now you're thinking.
I loved, in the first premiere episode, they show you guys at the Bob's Big Boy Hot Rod and Car Show in Toluca Lake, which is classic. Who lives in the valley doesn't know that?
That's Americana.
You can't get any more Americana than that. So, of course, now I have to ask this most pivotal and important question. What's your favorite big boy meal?
It's just got to be just a regular Bob's Big Burger.
Isn't that the truth?
It's a classic. I mean, why spoil it with other ingredients? I mean, I might like some cheese, but I love their fries, their burgers, their shakes. I mean, how delicious is that? I mean, of course, I have to spend a whole week trying to lose the weight that I gained. I mean, Bob's is classic. That's food. That's hot rods. And that's pinup girls, too,
That's right. And you actually, I don't want to give away too much, but you actually kind of reminded me of some of the outfits you've worn on a studio, too. You were kind of wearing a little outfit there. Everybody's got to see the show to see it, but that must have been pretty cool to play such an icon.
It was fun dressing up. I always like dressing up in costume. Halloween is my favorite part of the year.
Why does that not surprise me?
Of course, because I'm crazy. I'm a maniac.
You're Artie the Party.
Yeah, Artie the Party.
How did it come to be that the Rod Shop got its own show? How did Discovery find you? Did they find Discovery?
Well, the way this all came down, we're all at the shop working. And one day, the network and their production partners came into the shop because they were looking for a new show that had dynamics, characters, and great subject matter. And look at the cast. Mm-hmm. You got a young kid, Billy Jr., who's all buff and muscular. You've got his father, who's boisterous and loud and can be obnoxious at times. Then you've got Steve, the other owner, who's kind of mellow. He looks like a hippie. He's old school. And then his son, Shane, that has a little OCD. He wears gloves when he works on cars. And then there's Jeff, the pretty boy, Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Host. And then there's me. And that would capture America's heart,
Yes.
This shop that has family values, works on cars, is all about restoring American classics. Mm-hmm. What better show? But, sometimes, for instance, you see the cameras, but you're so busy, you really don't notice the camera sometimes.
Mhm.
Where if I'm working on the film, you really do concentrate on the camera and you want to watch your blocking. But on rods and wheels, you don't. You sort of ignore them and you just go about your business, your work, and relating with your partners and your coworkers.
Right. So the cameras are working around you.
That's correct. The cameras are working around us. They're pretty much following us.
Right.
They'll follow me into a trunk or something like that, or they'll follow me underneath the car. But I pretty much ignore them now.
Right.
They're like a buzzing bee. I just swat them away.
Well, I think Discovery hit gold when they found you guys because the show is fun. It's fascinating. I mean, I love cars and I love classic cars, but I think people will love it. It's fascinating to watch you rebuild these cars from essentially nothing into something beautiful. Works of art, really.
Yeah, they're definitely works of art, Linda. I mean, they come in rusted. They're pretty much rust buckets sometimes. And people come into the rod shop and, hey, can you work on my car?
Yeah.
We fix the car. Sometimes some other shops will work on the car, so we fix their mess. Their rat's nest or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. It's a pleasure to see these cars from disgusting grease bucket and come out beautiful like a trophy, like a woman, beautiful like a woman.
Yes, the show is Rods and Wheels. It's on the Discovery Channel. It's going to be premiering on January 27th, and it's debuting on February 3rd, I believe.
That's correct, February 3rd. That's when we're on.
And I believe it's on at 9 p.m. Eastern Pacific time, but check your local listings, set your DVRs. You are not going to want to miss this show. And Art, I really appreciate your coming on. I hope we can have you back on again sometime to talk a little more about Bill and Ted. I know you're busy today because you're doing the junket stuff for Rods and Wheels. So You're welcome to come back on the podcast anytime and talk to us about your current project, past projects, whatever you want, cars, girls, Bob's Big Boy, anything.
I like the part about girls. I like talking about girls.
All right. Well, I'll have a special Art on Girls segment of the podcast one of these days.
That's going to be the spin-off, Art and his girls. Oh, I'm just kidding.
You're going to have groupies when this show airs, I'm telling you.
Oh, no. So they're going to follow me home? Oh, no. What have I gotten myself into?
I don't know. We'll see. Tune into Rods and Wheels and follow the adventures of Artie the Party and all the guys.
Thanks. Linda, thank you very much. And thanks to your website, Bill and Ted's Excellent Online Adventures. And I look forward to seeing you in person again sometime soon.
Oh, we really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us, Art.
All righty. Take care. Bye.
And we'd like to thank Arturo Gil once again for joining us for the podcast. If you can't get enough of Arturo Gil, check out his official website at arturogil.com. That's ARTUROGIL.com. And there you can find links to his Facebook page and also to his Twitter account. And you can talk to Art online personally. So stop in and say hi. I know I'd love to hear from you all. And that's it for the news. As most of you know, there was recently a screening of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in Miami, Florida that was held by O Cinema and Popcorn Nights. And we have the dude who put it all together, I believe, Marc Ferman. He works with Popcorn Nights and he has his own website that he works on called keepitclassic.com. And Marc, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
So how did this all come about? You're the dude who put this whole thing together, right?
Yes, I am. I'm the dude. I'm the most excellent dude to put it together.
You're a most outstanding dude to put this show together. I wish more people were doing what you have done because it's excellent that you put together this 25th anniversary screening. And it sounds like it was the most resplendent 25th anniversary screening. I don't know if anybody out there could top you, but tell us about how you decided to do this and when you decided and how it came together.
Yeah, what I was doing for the past couple of years, I did these crowdfunded screenings through Tug, which is they're a website based in Austin, Texas, where like if you were a promoter, you told them what city you were in, what theater you want to do the screening at, and what film you want, and they would set it up for you.
Oh.
And you would have to sell a certain amount of tickets by a deadline to make it happen.
I see.
And they started to get very, very successful. I was able to fill up films like The Goonies and Gremlins and Nightmare on Elm Street, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a lot of the retro stuff that I grew up with. Beetlejuice being probably my most successful one.
Oh, yeah.
And then O Cinema, which is a Wynwood-based independent theater who I had done some tug screenings with, had me do basically a test run with them. We did a 25th anniversary of Child's Play.
Oh, okay.
And we had a live Skype Q&A with Don Mancini, who is the Chucky creator and the writer of all the Child's Play films. And
oh, wow.
he had directed the last two. And I was lucky enough to get him to agree to do a Q&A, and it was really successful. So they saw that not only was I able to fill up these tug screenings, but I was able to bring people to their theater.
Right.
And they decided in 2014 they would give me my own night. So originally I had another film planned for my opening film for January. I had Bill and Ted planned for February because that's the actual 25th anniversary.
Right.
What had happened was the film that I was trying to get, we could not get a straight answer on what studio actually owned the theatrical rights to it.
Oh,
It had been passed around to so many different people that we just couldn't find the right answer. And I was just like, you know what? Let's move Bill and Ted up a month.
Right.
I think that's going to be a really easy push for me anyways, a great film to launch with. And boy, was I right.
Yeah.
That was just, the audiences, it was just so ecstatic to be there. Personally, like most people, Bogus Journey is a superior film.
Uh-huh.
I love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but Bogus Journey is a better film in my opinion.
Right.
But that one wasn't having the anniversary.
Right.
And
you get to do that one in a couple of years in the summer.
Exactly. And with how well that one went, I'm definitely going to do Bogus Journey. I love Bogus Journey. And when Bogus Journey first came out, and I told Alex this during the Q&A, it was so different than Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Right.
That I didn't have the love for Bogus Journey right off the bat. I guess I didn't get the humor right off the bat because I was young. I was a lot younger.
Right.
And as I got older, the film grew on me, and I understood the tone of it better. It wound up I realizing as I got older, it's a better film. It's a smarter movie.
It's deeper. It's more produced. I have problems with Bogus Journey only because knowing how it was originally supposed to be ending and how they changed it, I have problems with how the studio kind of messed with it. Because I think the way it was originally shot, it was probably a much better film because it made more sense. But it is smoother. They're almost like two completely separate movies done by two completely separate bunch of people. It's just an interesting, I don't know too many sequels that are that set apart.
It's the same situation with my next screening, actually. It's funny that you said that.
Oh, yeah?
Because the next film I'm doing is Swamp Thing.
Oh, yeah.
And if you've ever seen Swamp Thing, and if you've ever seen The Return of Swamp Thing, it's the same characters.
Yeah.
Dr. Arcane and Swamp Thing, the same actors playing in both, but the tone is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
The first one is a much darker film, and it was directed by Wes Craven, who's a horror director.
Right.
Where the sequel is just a campy, cheesy B-movie monster comedy. They're so different.
Oh, wow.
It's very similar in that way. I'm not calling either of the Bill and Ted movies Return of Swamp Thing because I wouldn't do that.
No, but that's a good comparison, I think, yeah.
Yeah, the tone is completely different. Mm-hmm. And I think the switch in tone works well for both series.
Right. So you got a lot of great incentives tell us about some of the giveaways that were done and how those were given away.
The way I am with my events is I do every possible thing in my power to make the event as cool as it can be. I won't stop.
Yeah.
If there's a product out there that's relatable to the film, I'll try to find it and get some to give out. Mm-hmm. With the DVDs, I approached the company that put out the animated series, and they were nice enough to send me a handful of copies.
Oh,
80stees.com, who has done stuff with me for Goonies and for Killer Clowns from Outer Space and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
They were nice enough to send some shirts for Bill and Ted. The trading cards,
Mm-hmm.
I went on eBay and bought a couple boxes.
Right.
And I thought that would be a cool thing to give out, to each person. When I got those trading cards, I didn't think I was going to get all this other cool stuff to give out.
Oh, yeah.
Those collectible posters were really cool.
Yeah. Oh, those are awesome.
It just went on and on, of stuff. And then that artist, Gary Niles Jr., who's a South Florida artist, had done a painting, and we gave that away.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool to be able to have giving out all that stuff took me forever.
I was going to say, how did you go about, was it like a drawing, or did you have like...
Well, for the T-shirts and the DVDs and the posters, I kind of just threw those out into the audience.
That's always a good way to do it, right?
For the sign print and for this Blu-ray box set that we had, this IMAX Blu-ray box set, and for the painting, we had like a raffle.
Oh, good.
Like when the people came, they got a ticket, and we called off their ticket number.
So those people must have been very excited to win those prizes.
Yes. Everyone was really excited.
Did you get a chance to talk to a lot of fans out in the lobby and talk about Bill and Ted a lot?
Oh, no, I don't like talking to people.
Oh, no, of course not. That's why you do this, so you can be a recluse, right?
I introduced the movie, put a mask on, and walk away.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, you were that guy in the mask. Okay, we wondered why Jason Voorhees was there, but okay.
No, oh yeah, I definitely love talking to the fans, afterward, because I'm a fan. I don't know if I'm gonna word this correctly, but I feel like the attendees of my events are an extension of myself as far as movie fans. I feel like the movies I pick, if I want to see them on the big screen, then most of the people who come to my events are going to want to see them on the big screen.
You put together the events you would like to attend.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of how it works.
That's a good way to do it. That's very smart.
I'm not going to bring down a movie that I have no desire to see on the big screen. I don't care if I can get 1 million people to it.
Right.
If I have no desire to watch it with a crowd, then I have no desire to do it. My events won't be successful if I'm not passionate about it, and I'm only going to be passionate about something I want to see.
So now tell us a little bit about the Skyping. How did that come about? Because that seemed like that was later on that came to be, but that's a big part of your events, though, is having the conversations with people.
They weren't always a big part of my event. What happened was, when I was doing the Tug stuff, I was going back and forth between retro films and new independent films.
Okay.
The films that weren't getting national releases, that were playing at film festivals that I heard were great. There's one movie, for example, called Fat Kid Rules the World, which I think is on Netflix streaming now. It was the directorial debut from Matthew Lillard, who you would know from playing Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies, and he was the killer in the first Scream.
Yeah.
He directed this film that was based on a book called Fat Kid Rules the World, which came out last year. And it played at South by Southwest in Austin, which I attended, but I didn't get to see the movie while I was out there. I had missed it, and I heard it was awesome. So I decided to bring it down to Miami through Tug. I brought down some other independent films. My first Skype Q&A was an indie film documentary called Craigslist Joe, produced by Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover, and it was a documentary about a guy who traveled the country living strictly off Craigslist. He had no money, no car, no cell phone. He would get his food, his place to stay, his rides all through Craigslist. He even got his cameraman who shot the documentary through Craigslist.
Oh, wow.
So it was a really cool documentary, and Tug had asked me if I wanted to do a Q&A with the filmmaker. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. And we did it through Skype. And that was actually it was at O Cinema, because that was the only theater I knew I could get access to do it. And that went really well. And then I did a few more documentaries with Skype Q&As, a basketball documentary called Doing It in the Park, a graffiti documentary called Bomb It 2. And my first live Q&A with the actual filmmakers there was a horror film that came out a couple of years ago called Sinister, which starred Ethan Hawke.
Okay.
And the studio was working with Tug to get nationwide screenings. and the first 5 cities to sell out the screenings would get the filmmaker and the director and the writer to come out to that city and do a live Q&A.
Smart.
And I think Miami was like the number 2. Like I was the number 2 like fastest selling one.
Great.
And I was so nervous. I was like super nervous. It was my birthday too, and I had this company made a birthday cake to look like a poster, and it was a big cake that we made with the audience.
Wow.
And it was that we made and shared with the audience. We gave out these tickets, and then whoever got a ticket got a piece of cake as they exited the theater. I was super nervous. Like, I had never done like a Q&A with the director right there, and I had to look on Internet Movie Database to see what he had done prior before the Q&A. And he did a movie that I knew if I brought up, he'd probably be embarrassed about.
Right.
I'm a huge horror movie fan.
Yeah.
Like, I love horror movies. So if I'm talking to anyone who's made a film, a Freddy film, a Jason film, or a Michael Myers film, or a Pinhead film, I'm going to get excited.
Yes.
This guy made a Hellraiser movie.
Okay.
But it was a low-budget, direct-to-video Hellraiser sequel. And not a very good one. But he knew. I knew he knew it wasn't a very good movie. It was his first movie. And he did an amazing job with Sinister. As a matter of fact, Sinister was so great that I had no problem bringing up a bad movie he did because I knew he could make an awesome movie.
Sure.
So I told him during one of the first things I say, I was like, I'm a huge horror fan, and I'm a big Freddy fan, Jason fan, I'm a big Pinhead fan, and you made a Pinhead movie. And he kind of put his head down in shame. He's like, yes, I did. But then he went on to explain all that he learned while making that. That was his first movie, so it actually learned. He learned a lot on that first experience, so it actually helped. And then I learned, all right, you can get nervous about asking something, but sometimes it can turn around and wind up being a good thing.
And I take it you'd seen that movie, so you could actually talk to him about it like you knew what you were talking about, which is a lot different than saying, oh, I looked on your IMDb and I saw this title and, oh, this sounded stupid.
I was going to bring up, he had made some iffy films, but, after Sinister, he did such a good job, and I'm really excited to see what he does next.
So now, how did you go about getting Alex for your Skype this time?
Well, all right, let's see. I'm persistent. I'm very persistent. I try to be persistent without being annoying.
You're persistent for a good cause, I would say.
For a good cause. And I had approached Alex and I approached Diane because I really wanted them both. I didn't tell Diane this when I was talking to her on the email when she had written back to me, but we were talking back and forth and she was super nice. She didn't want to do it at first. She had never done a Skype Q&A.
Right.
She didn't want to be asked to do it a lot. I didn't tell her that when she did Better Off Dead and I was younger, I had a crush on her. So that was one of the main reasons. Like, I really wanted her to do a Q&A.
Sure.
And it took some time, but she agreed to do it. And I talked to her on the phone for like a half hour a few days prior, and I had so much fun talking on the phone with her. She's like one of the nicest people. She's just amazing to talk to, and I knew while talking to her that the audience was going to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
I just knew they were going to have her. I had never done 2 Skype Q&As at the same time. Alex had expressed interest, but he couldn't give a definite answer.
Sure.
And I didn't know until 2 days prior to the event that he was going to do it. He agreed to do it. And so I had to, figure out a way to get them both. I didn't want to not do either of them. I wanted to do both, like, so badly.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always wanted to talk to Alex because we see Keanu for years in film.
Yes.
And I knew Alex had transitioned more into a director. I had seen his documentary. I was actually at the premiere of his documentary downloaded in Austin at South by Southwest, where he was there to do a Q&A with.
Terrific.
I actually missed the Q&A because I had some bad tacos before.
Uh-oh.
And I had to run out, and I was so pissed because I really wanted to watch that Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't stay for it. I was like suffering. I wanted to. I sat through the whole movie, but I was like in pain.
Oh.
So, but when the movie ended, even though I knew Alex was coming up, I just couldn't wait. And I've always just wanted the opportunity to talk to him.
Sure.
He did Freaked is a movie I love.
Oh, yeah.
Which was his directorial debut, and I did a great job with Downloaded. I'm sure, he has his new film that he just released on iTunes, Grand Piano, which I heard is fantastic.
I just watched it last night.
I hear it's terrific. I haven't
It is
seen it yet.
fantastic.
During the Q&A, he said he likes acting, but he really loves being a director. He really loves being a filmmaker.
Right.
And he's really good. He's super talented.
So you asked him about Freaked, and you asked him about Bill and Ted. Did he have anything interesting to say about any of those?
With Bill and Ted, he didn't really say anything that he hadn't said already.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell that he definitely wants to do it. Keanu wants to do it.
Right.
So I think it's all about financing. I mean, that's what I took away from it.
Right.
There were some other questions I wanted to ask him, but we were having problems with the connection. I didn't want to keep him,
Right.
Like a question that I wanted to ask is, on the animated series, him and Keanu did the voices for the first 13 episodes, but not the last 8.
Right.
So I was wondering what had happened there.
Oh, I could answer that question if you want to know.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to know what happened there.
The first season was produced by Hanna-Barbera for CBS. And
Right.
apparently, well, the story I heard was that CBS was unhappy because they were late with delivering their episodes, although I never noticed that because they all aired on time as far as I could see. There were some mistakes in the last few episodes, so they might have been rushing them through. But CBS decided they were not going to carry it another season, and so Fox picked it up, and somehow it changed hands from Hanna-Barbera to Deke. And when it went to Deke, they changed everything. And so they didn't bother hiring Alex and Keanu and George Carlin to do the voices. Instead, they got the guys who were going to do the live-action series. So it was Evan Richards and Christopher.
That live-action series was awful. That live-action series was terrible.
Fox didn't really seem to understand what Bill and Ted was all about, as far as I could see. So that's why they didn't do the second season. I don't think it's because they didn't want to. It's just everything changed.
The Bill and Ted TV series was so bad that the people who made the Weird Science TV series said, man, that Bill and Ted series is really bad.
I have said many times I wish that the Bill and Ted series could have been as good as the Weird Science series was, because the Weird Science series was really well done.
Yeah, it was really decent.
Yeah, and the Bill and Ted series was not.
My other question I was going to ask Alex was, he's been directing for a while now, and I was curious if he had seen his partner Ted's directorial debut with The Man from Tai Chi.
Oh, that's a good question.
I was curious what he thought of his cinematic counterpart, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
That was a question, and I had completely forgot to ask that question. But I was curious.
Yeah. Have you seen Man of Tai Chi yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Because that's when I saw Grand Piano. Now I want to rent Man of Tai Chi and watch that as well. So what was your take on it?
Let me ask you, are you a fan of old school martial arts films?
Oh, yes.
Then I have to give Keanu some credit. He did a really good job.
Oh, good.
He knew exactly what he was doing with this type of film, and he did a very commendable job. I think he made a good choice for the type of film he wanted to launch with, and I'm curious to see what he does next.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not sure if he staged the fight scenes or not himself, but I like how the fight scenes are each different. Each is shot in a completely different way.
Oh, wow.
It's got some style to it. There's traces, elements of films that he's worked on before, like The Matrix and things like that. You can feel that kind of influence in there. It's not going to win any awards, but if you like martial arts films, it's a pretty worthy film to check out.
Okay, great. That's wonderful. I'll definitely check that out then. That's been one I've been wanting to see.
I actually like 47 Ronin, which he put out recently.
Oh, yeah.
I was definitely entertained, and I really hope Bill and Ted 3 happens, because if there's two characters I want to see in their 50s, it's Bill and Ted. I just can't even imagine what it would be like.
Well, knowing what they did with Bogus Journey right after Excellent Adventure, to go that direction with it so soon and take that risk, I am really anxious to see what Ed and Chris have come up with that Alex and Keanu are so excited about to want to do it. It's going to be incredible. I really hope it happens.
From what I can tell, to get Alex Winter excited about acting in something, it's got to be good. And I know Keanu Reeves had probably spent years trying to get away from that, type character. But, the fact that he wants to go revisit it again is that's nothing but good things about the script.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because for many years we dealt with rumors where they said, well, Keanu's holding it up because he doesn't want to do it. And that's really never been the case. Keanu's always said he would be more than willing to step into Ted's shoes again if the script was good. And I knew that meant if Ed and Chris wrote it and it was something they could really get behind. So, yeah, to want to expend that kind of energy stepping into those roles again, it has to be something really superbly interesting to do. So let's hope.
Right. It's something I know a large amount of people want to see, and this is really the right time to do it.
Yeah.
I would say if you're going to do it, hopefully get it done within the next 2 years.
Right.
I just think this is the perfect time for it. I think the audience wants it. It's clear that they have their fans out there. If they didn't have their fans out there, I wouldn't have been able to sell out a Bill and Ted screening.
That's a good point.
And get that many people excited. You look on Twitter, you look on Facebook or any of these things about people posting, not even just my event. I'm really hoping more people around the country throw their own Bill and Ted screenings.
Yes.
Something like that is going to help generate this. It's going to help make the studios notice.
That's true.
The audience is there. They want to see this movie. When people share my event and people respond, can you please do it in our city?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had audience members for Bill and Ted drive as far from 2 hours away to come. What you should do is you should contact Tug and have them set up a Bill and Ted screening for you in your area, because they'll set it up for you. It's not anything I really ever did for the money, but it's one of those things that, if you really wanted to do it, they can get that movie for you. And I'm saying this on your podcast because hopefully your listeners will want it. They're in different cities, and hopefully they'll want to do something as well.
Yes, absolutely. What is the website again? It's tug.com?
Tug.com.
Is that Tugg?
Yeah, tugg.com.
Okay.
I loved working with them, and it's just really fun. You get to do a lot. It's definitely great, and it doesn't cost anything to do.
Okay.
They set it up for you. So
definitely look into that. If you've been on our group recently, you probably saw the video that Marc posted of Alex giving the air guitar, which was a very unusual. He doesn't usually do that to an audience member.
And he did it twice. The girl missed it, and he did it a second time. Yeah, Gia missed it. And he did it a second time, and I missed it the first time, too, because I was looking into the audience, so I didn't actually look on the screen. And then I looked and saw it again, and I'm so glad someone caught that on video.
That was awesome.
I've watched that clip like 20 times.
It is so funny. It's like, what? She missed it? And she's like, what was she doing? Oh, she was doing a selfie. I can't believe he did it again, because I would have just said, oh, well. Too bad. But
no, and that just shows how cool he is.
He is.
It's just like he was willing to do that. He didn't want to do it at first. He didn't want to do it out of character.
Oh,
and
yeah, no, he usually doesn't.
It was funny. She was going to ask him to do like a Bill and Ted, say something in Bill and Ted, and then we had lost the signal, and I felt bad. And she's the one I wound up giving the freaked comic book to.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it looks like it was a really fun event. I'm so glad you were able to put that on. Now, to finish up this interview, the one question I want to ask you is, since you're obviously such a big film fan, you said you're a big horror fan, if you could do any movie, any screening of any film, in any Skype interview, what is your dream screening? What would be the one you would die to do?
Honestly, A Nightmare on Elm Street with Q&A with Robert Englund.
Ooh.
I grew up being the hugest Freddy fan, major Freddy fan. I'm just like that. It would just be a dream. Before, I would have said my actual favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future.
Oh yeah.
There's no movie that I love more than Back to the Future, I would say doing a Q&A with Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually wound up going to the 25th anniversary of Back to the Future in Austin, Texas, the Alamo Draft House, and it was all three films at once.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lloyd was there to introduce it, and I got to meet him, and that was just like a dream of mine.
Oh,
so
exciting.
Now that I've met him, as much as I'd love to do a Q&A with him, I've never had the blessed with the opportunity to meet or talk to Robert Englund.
Right.
And let me put it this way. When I was a kid, I had a life-size cardboard cutout of Freddy Krueger next to my bed.
Ooh.
My mom hated it.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine, like, honey, really?
If you could sleep well with a life-size cardboard cutout of Freddy Krueger next to your bed, then nothing is going to bother you.
Oh,
and
that's
I'm just a
classic.
huge Freddy fan, and if I could get him, that would just be complete. That would be like, there's a ton of people I'd love to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many. There's countless people that I'd love to talk to. Many of them have passed away.
Yeah.
If I could talk to one person who had passed away that I'll never be able to talk to, that would probably be John Candy.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Robert Englund is just one I would have.
Well, I hope that someday it'll happen.
Yeah.
So your movie screenings, you do all your screenings now through Popcorn Night?
Yeah, it's Popcorn Nights at O Cinema. They're on the last Wednesday of every month in Miami.
Gotcha.
If your listeners are in the South Florida area, make sure to like us on Facebook, which is Real Popcorn Nights. Or they can go to popcornnights.com.
Right.
And go to our Facebook from there.
Exactly. Okay, and your movie reviews, we can read those at keepitclassic.com, right?
Yeah, and Popcorn Night. Yes, I posted on both. Keep It Classic is really more inspired by my two loves, which are movies and old school hip hop.
Cool.
Which is a really odd combination for a website, but it's what I love. So
it's interesting. You know what? And you've got to do what you love. And Marc does what he loves, and he loves movies. And if you love movies, if you're in Miami and you want to go to the screenings, check out popcornnights.com if you want to keep up with his reviews. And if you love hip hop, go to keepitclassic.com. Marc is the man for movies.
Even if you don't live in Miami and you go to Miami on vacation, last Wednesday of every month, if you happen to be just visiting and you want a cool movie event while you're visiting,
you check out the popcornnights.com, you subscribe to it on Facebook, you see what screenings are coming up, and you plan your vacation to Miami around a screening. That's what you do, right, Marc?
Yes, that's what you do.
All right.
It's Miami, everyone wants to come to Miami.
And we're all going to plan to be in Miami in 2.5 years for the Bogus Journey screening, right?
No way!
Yes way!
Most excellent.
Totally going to be there. It's going to be most outstanding. And hopefully by then we'll have a Bill and Ted 3 to talk about as well.
Bill and Ted 3 is coming. I'm going to be reviewing it.
Well, I really appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for doing the screening. I'm sure everybody who went had a great time.
I loved it. I had a great time with it, and I hope to keep doing them.
Okay, well, we appreciate it. Thanks, Marc.
All right, thank you.
And we really appreciate Marc taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk to us about the screening. Sounds like it was a most outstanding event. Wish we could have all been there, but I'm sure we can all appreciate the hard work that Marc put into the screening, and we really appreciate everything he's done for the Bill and Ted fans in Miami. And so now I'd like to introduce our featured artist for today. His name is Russ Gray, and he's been sending me some of his music for some time now, and I've always really enjoyed listening to it. So I'm very glad to be able to share some of it with you here on the podcast. The song we chose to feature from Russ is a song called Living to Be Legend, which I think fits really well into the Bill and Ted theme, since Bill and Ted turn out to be living legends, even though they didn't really plan it that way at first. The song was written and performed as a side project of Russ's, a band called Stonelifter. And Stonelifter consists of Russ Gray, he's on drums. The vocals are by James Deaney, and the guitars and bass are by Mark Henry. And if you'd like to learn more about Stonelifter, you can visit their website on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and look up Stonelifter Band. And these guys also sometimes partake in Russ's main project, which is called The Russian Flu. And you can check out The Russian Flu also on Facebook. Just look for The Russian Flu. So now I'm very pleased to present this really wonderful song by Stonelifter called Living to Be Legend.
I'm not gone yet, but when I go, I hope that you'll remember me for a while. tables break under the weight of your impatient push. Even when you're tame, you feel the pull that always brings you back. I'm not gone yet, but when I go, I hope that you'll remember me for a while.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Podcast is published by Bill and Ted's Excellent Online Adventure. Visit us at billandted.org, where you'll find links to us on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our fan forums. You can email us at lindakbabe@billandted.org if you have any feedback or suggestions. And for all of you independent artists struggling out there, remember to keep at it no matter what, even if you happen to clear out your little brother's junior high school prom. All of our incidental music has been provided by the outstandingly excellent Steve Benino. Check out his other projects at stevebenino.com. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure characters and images trademarked and copyrighted 1989-2003 Creative Licensing Corporation, all rights reserved. The motion picture Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, copyright 1989 Orion Pictures Corporation, all rights reserved. The motion picture Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, copyright 1991 Orion Pictures Corporation Incorporated, all rights reserved. Tune in again next time for Bill and Ted's Excellent Podcast.